Hey, welcome back to Feminine Success TV. I'm your host, Yahya Smith. Join me weekly as I share tips to help you find your feminine flow, elevate your thought life, organize your home life, deepen your fulfillment, and improve your relationships with step-by-step solutions to have sustainable success. I've helped thousands of women worldwide create total transformations. Now you can get the support you want to get your whole life. Hey, welcome back to Feminine Success TV. This week I am talking about the difference between feminine wiles and feminine power. I'm always asked, Yaya, are you teaching women how to use their feminine wiles? Because I know how to use my feminine wiles is what people will say, what a lot of women will say, or will say, I don't want to use feminine wiles. I don't want to be that woman who is just laughing at a joke because I think it's going to get a man to respond a certain way and it's really not funny. Or who wears certain things or does my makeup a certain way just to get a man's attention. That's not what I'm looking for. And I always tell women, I don't teach you how to use your feminine wiles. I teach you how to own your feminine power. A lot of the messaging that you get around femininity as a woman is basically telling you what to put on. So whether that's makeup, whether that's clothing, whether that is, the way that you talk, what to do from the outside in order to make yourself more attractive, in order to make yourself more likable, even in certain situations. But what ends up happening is you put all of this stuff on top of who you really are, and you never get to show up as your authentic self. And then the person that you've attracted, or the job that you've attracted, or maybe the opportunity or the clients that you've attracted, they now love a fake version of you. And it's really hard. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but it's really hard to be fake for a long time. And so I teach women how to be who you are authentically and to build your feminine power from the inside out, how to nurture your feminine power from the inside out. So let's kind of talk about what the differences are between your feminine wiles and your feminine power. If you look up the word wiles in general, it's usually a trick or a scheme or a scam or certain words and language that you're using to manipulate a situation or another person. So the first thing to understand is that wiles are tricks. Wiles are not something that you want to be operating in on a day-to-day basis or even at all, okay? So I don't teach you how to use your feminine wiles. I teach you how to live a feminine lifestyle and to exude femininity and use it as a tool to support you in winning in your life, because that's what it was designed to do. The second thing to understand about feminine wiles is it's always something that you can put on and take off. Or like I like to say, it's like a light switch. You turn it on based on the situation or based on the person, and then you turn it off when you don't need it anymore. And so your feminine wiles are things that you can turn on and turn off like a light switch in your life. And is that really what you want? Do you want to have to constantly be thinking about turning it on, turning it off, when to use it, when not to use it, when is it right, when is it not right, who's going to take advantage of it? When you use tricks to manipulate people or situations, you automatically open yourself up to attract people who are also tricksters, who are also willing and looking for others to take advantage of. And so it's very important for you to be aware of what you are attracting when you are using femininity. Because if you use it in a manipulative way, you will attract manipulators, okay? And the last thing that I'll say about feminine wiles, and this is really important to understand, and this is why I do not teach feminine wiles. I do not teach using femininity to manipulate anyone or anything, because your feminine wiles are used to exploit the weaknesses of the people around you. Now, if you've ever taken any of my courses and classes, I talk about how to strengthen yourself and others around you, how to support people in their weaknesses, not exploit them in their weaknesses, and also understanding how to be supported in your own weakness. And if you're using your feminine wiles, generally you're not tapping into true vulnerability. You're only using a false sense of vulnerability to get what you want. So it's very important that you understand what it means to use your feminine wiles, and is that in alignment with who you want to be as a woman, okay? And so now we can get into your feminine power and why it is so different from using your feminine wiles. So the first thing to understand, we talked about how your feminine wiles are tricks, right? Well, your feminine power is a set of traits. Traits, not tricks. So your feminine power is based on your character. It's based on your integrity. It's based on your moral compass and your values as a woman. The next thing to understand is that feminine power is always used to influence, not manipulate. Influence, not manipulate. So when you are able to influence a situation, that does not necessarily mean you are influencing a person. You are simply able, with the resources that you have, with the abilities that you have, with the traits that you have, to get things to go the way that you want them to. And the way that you want them to go is what's best for everyone. Manipulation is when you are moving things so that you get what's best for you and you alone, no matter what's best for everyone else around you. Influence is so powerful because it takes into account what's best for everyone involved, and even if those people don't know that it's best, you have the power to move them in the direction of what is best for them and what's also best for you. So no one loses with influence, okay? With manipulation, it's always a one-sided win. The next thing to understand about your feminine power is it is not something that you can turn on and turn off. It is not something that you put on and take off. It is always who you are, and it informs all of your actions. You are who you are all the time, and you're able to stand in that power all of the time. And because of that, you take powerful action all the time, even when you're afraid. Feminine power informs your actions. It informs your thought patterns. It informs the way you treat yourself and the way you treat others. So while you may see a woman who is dressed up and beautiful and takes really good care of herself and maybe tends to be a great steward of her beauty, it doesn't mean that she's using her feminine wiles. She may simply be being informed by the understanding that she's deserving of looking good and feeling good all the time. That she's deserving of taking good care of herself so that she can attract other people who also take good care of themselves and will also take good care of her. So your feminine power informs the way that you show up for yourself. It informs the way that you show up for others, and it is always available to you. It is not something that you turn on and turn off like a light switch, depending on who deserves it. That's not it. You always deserve to be walking in your feminine power. The next thing about feminine power is that it will never offend someone who finds out that you are quote unquote using it. So a lot of times when a man finds out, oh, she's using her feminine wiles on me, he gets offended. He feels like he's being tricked. He feels like he's being played. Because in your power as a feminine woman, you are doing what's best for everyone. You are curating and cultivating a world around you that's best for the people who choose to participate with you. So they're not offended when they find out that you are owning your power or stepping into these things. They're actually looking for ways to support you to continue doing so. I have several clients whose husbands realize the shift that happens in them when they start Feminine Success School, and they are excited to invest in them, to support them, to keep the kids out of the way so they can do their courses and classes. They're excited to continue to support them. Husbands, fathers, brothers, you name it. And it's because feminine power is never offensive. Feminine power is actually very valuable. And men understand that, as well as the other women and people in your world. The last thing that I'll share about your feminine power is that it is an inner transformation. When you think about your feminine wiles, it's building from the outside in. What can I put on? What can I wear? What can I, how should I smell? What kind of makeup should I wear? How should I sound? It's really taking into consideration, what does everyone else think of me? What do they want from me? What are their expectations of me? Let me become that. Your feminine power begins on the inside. It begins with you plugging into your source and understanding the traits, the softness, the vulnerability, and the strength that was put inside of you. And how do you leverage that on the outside so that you can be valuable not only to yourself, but to everything and everyone that you touch? So femininity in its powerful form, is an inner transformation that supports you from the inside out. And what we know is that if you build a solid foundation, you can put anything you want on top of that foundation. But if you build from the outside in and the foundation is cracked or the foundation is broken on the inside, then it doesn't matter what you build, it will have to come down so that you can fix that foundation. So that's the difference between your feminine wiles and your feminine traits or your feminine power. And you get to decide which of those you will leverage to live the life that you truly want. Peace and love, y'all.
And I remember as I was going through Flawless Femininity and I was learning about how femininity was not just the outer trappings, was not just some uniform, and she likes to say it's not a uniform, it's a blueprint. So that it showed me how femininity was an essential tool, skill, wand, if you will, in multiple areas of my life, that I started to see how being reconnected and healing my femininity, not finding it, because she shows you that it's always there and it's the stuff that gets on top of it that gets in the way, and what it truly is and what it truly is not, that I saw that how I didn't have it in areas where I thought that I was coming because I was dating somebody at the time and I didn't know why it wasn't working out. And I had heard about femininity from different people. And, like I said, it was all about dating, but I knew that there was more. And so from that course, I learned why I had problems with previous bosses and managers. I learned how I've had communication issues sometimes with my family and friends. I learned how to get out of the hustle and the grind, and that there was a totally different way to do life. And I think before that, I just thought, well, I need to just make sure my environment is pretty. I need to make sure that I'm pretty. I need to make sure that I watch my language. And that's kind of what was being fed to the masses. And I realized that while a lot of people had the trappings of femininity, that Yahya had the lifestyle and she had the wisdom and she had a basis. You hear so many times